Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is life. Connect with it. And sponsored in part by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust. And by Clark Parker with Myrtle Beach CPAs, proudly serving the area for over 40 years.
Welcome to beautiful Georgetown. This is the May edition of Inside Out. And this month, we're going to visit with Larry Paul at his farm in Socastee. We're going to meet up with a 100-year-old veteran from World War II in Myrtle Beach. And I'm going to take you to Loris to visit with the one and only Shorty and Betty from Shorty's Grill. But right now, I want you to meet one of the nicest mayors in all the Grand Strand. This is Mayor Brendon Barber. Welcome to beautiful Georgetown, where I have lassoed in the mayor. He's been the mayor now for about a year and a half, and we're here at the gorgeous Rice Museum. Why, of course, one of Georgetown's best. But so is this mayor. I heard him talking on TV one day about becoming the mayor, and it touched my heart, and I said, got to get an interview with this man. So, Brendon, tell me a little bit about growing up in Georgetown.
What a blessing to be here, and thank you for allowing me to interview with you, and it's just a humbling experience. But growing up in Georgetown was just a fantastic time. The entire neighborhood raised you. So even though my mom taught in the public schools and my dad worked at IIP, if you got into trouble, the neighbors down the street would discipline you. By the time you got home, your mom and dad knew the whole story, so you couldn't tell anything. But it was just a great time. I have friends now that we grew up with and that I grew up with in the neighborhood, and we still talk about the old times.
What do you miss most, though, about the old times, other than, I'm sure, your family?
I think basically just the relationships, the ability to know that you could depend on people and you can trust folks within your neighborhood and even in the entire city. It didn't make a difference. They all knew who you were, and they knew your family.
Speaking of family, Brendon, brag on your family of today.
Well, my wife and I, Pamela and I, we have 4 kids all together, 3 sons and 1 daughter. 2 sons graduated Naval Academy, and they're doing very well within their prospective careers. We have another son that works for FedEx and a daughter who graduated the University of Southern California, and she has a bachelor's and a master's in her passionate field of entertainment, which is film and television.
Wow, so you've got a great diversity there.
We do.
With your kids,
yes.
And hopefully they'll support you in older age.
There you go.
Tell me about some of the things you're most proud of pertaining to Georgetown today.
What I'm proud of most of all is the relationships that we've established since 2018 when I became mayor. Of course, I was on council prior to that. And becoming mayor, that was quite a manifestation. It wasn't something Pam and I planned, but it began to manifest. And I think through grace and mercy, that's how I became mayor.
I like that, grace and mercy.
But the relationships, renewing relationships, building relationships, the ability to bring the city, the county, the school district, and other entities together so that we can have just one Georgetown, Team Georgetown.
I love that. I heard recently that there's been a great relationship building too with the harbor and the college.
Yes, very excited about that. Of course, if you know anything about Georgetown, before the mid-40s, Georgetown was a natural port, a natural harbor. So nature took its course in making sure it maintained the proper depth. Well, however, in the mid-40s, the Army Corps of Engineers made a man-made cut, which created a problem of silting. However, moving fast forward to now, I always knew that science and engineering can solve the problem. So what we did, the city along with the county, we partnered with Coastal Carolina University, Dr. Till Hannenboo, and he's doing the study. So within his study, I've learned so much to the point where we took Team Georgetown to Washington, D.C. We spoke to both United States senators, all 3 congressmen would make up our delegation, went to not only Washington, D.C., but to Columbia, sat down with the governor face to face. And we didn't go with a problem, we went with a solution. And I believe we gathered the support that we need to revitalize this inner harbor, to have a working waterfront where you can come and see commercial traffic along with still our fishermen and our shrimpers and our recreational boaters.
So take me 10 years from now. What do you hope for?
10 years from now, a vibrant community with a boutique hotel on the main street, which is Front Street, developments all over the place from multifamily units to luxury apartments to manufacturing on the south end of the city of Georgetown that will also provide supplies and materials to the big companies and corporations in the Charleston area, and just a community where people would meet and greet one another whether they are from here or not. And more importantly, the jobs that we would create, and also housing. That's both affordable housing and housing of market value. Diane, right now, Georgetown is the spot to be. I mean, this is going to be the happening. We're probably going to be the Rodeo Drive of the Low Country. So you better get in now, because if you don't get in now, it's not going to be cost effective because the prices are going to go up. You have to realize to the south there's Charleston and Mount Pleasant, and to the north there's Myrtle Beach. So we're the only place that you can be at this time to get that warm, small town feeling.
Fuzzy feeling.
Fuzzy feeling.
Affordable.
Affordable. Remember, we're USA Today, #1 small coastal town in the country.
I know, that's got to make you feel great. And then I also know that you're working very hard with the neighboring mayors.
Yes, Mayor Bethune in Myrtle Beach, Mayor Bellamy in Conway, and also Mayor Tecklenburg in Charleston, South Carolina. We're working together to address floodwater issues, and the governor has appointed all 4 of us on the South Carolina Floodwater Commission. But yet, we still stay in contact with one another, particularly Mayor Bethune and Mayor Bellamy and I. We've formed a very good relationship.
And my final statement is this: when I talk to the people of Georgetown about you over the past year, they all love you, they're grateful for what you've already accomplished. But one person said to me, "I'm worried about it." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I'm worried that Brendon's going to want bigger things and we would miss him terribly." I thought that was great.
Oh, well, let's see what God has planned.
So, I mean, you know, like any other political ambitions at this point?
No.
We're going to keep you here?
You're going to stay here.
You got it.
I love it.
Brendon, thank you so very much for being with us. Best wishes. And we look forward to the Rodeo Drive of the Grand Strand in the near future. Thank you, Brendon.
Thank you.
The only living charter member of the Horry Georgetown Home Builders Association is coming up next on Inside Out.
No matter where the day takes me, HTC provides the high-speed internet services I need. HTC delivers faster speeds, 24/7 local tech support, and free in-home Wi-Fi right here to Horry and Georgetown counties. As trusted community members serving up world-class internet service, I know HTC will keep my family connected to what matters most. Because you are here, and so are we.
High-speed internet starting at 100 megabits per second. Call today.
HTC. This is life. Connect with it.
Welcome to Socastee. We're at the home of Larry Paul, and this place is beautiful. And Larry, you tell me this is the Socastee Creek behind us.
That is correct, yes ma'am. That's the Socastee Creek, and it's natural. The waterway was dug on the bed of the Socastee Creek, but of course Socastee Creek was crooked and the waterway is straight, so there's little crescent-shaped islands all along, this being one of the islands directly behind me.
You said that you've lived on this beautiful farm more than half your life already.
That is correct, yes.
But this is not your original home, so let's first talk about the farm you grew up on.
Well, it was a little one-horse farm. The house that I was born in is copied at the living farm, the L.W. Paul living farm, but we had 1 mule and 1 milk cow, and we worked the land, and it was hard work, but we had 3 little simple things. We worked hard, and we were honest, and we were good neighbors, and that's the way we lived.
And that was in your original home was in the Pauley Swamp area?
Yes, correct, near there, yes.
And that's still family land?
Still family land, yes.
What did y'all grow there?
We grew tobacco, about 2 acres of tobacco, and we grew corn. Of course, we had to have corn for us to eat and the animals to eat, and we grew some soybeans.
And yet, years later, you decided to settle here on this beautiful farm. So do you grow anything here that you produce big time?
Nothing commercially. We have, I have a staff here. We have about 5 employees here, and we have a big garden, and we have cows and calf and horses and chickens and guineas and all the things that we had growing up, except more of them.
I loved the pen of chickens. Now, that was amazing. And I heard that you actually began your career with chickens.
Yes, actually, as a child, I got into the chicken business and talked my daddy into funding the first 100 biddies and 1-day-old biddies, and then the second 100, and then the third 100. So by the time I left home, we had an egg route that we ran. My mama, I was just a child, but she would take the eggs to town and sell them. We had an egg route, and then Billy Joe Calhoun, who is a friend of mine still today, would buy the ballots of the eggs. We got 50 cents a bushel on a dozen on the route, and 33 cents a dozen from Billy Joe. So all the eggs could be depleted every week.
So today, what do you do with all these great chickens?
I still have eggs, but now instead of selling, I give them away.
And what kind of chickens are they?
Well, these are similar to a Rhode Island Red, but they're called sex links, actually. Sex links.
I hope I go home with just a few fresh eggs. That would be interesting.
I bet you could get some.
The lake house is just beautiful. And I heard you built this lake.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Actually, I sold the sand that made the lake, so it was a profitable venture.
Well, speaking of building things, you are the only living charter member of the Horry Georgetown Home Builders Association, the folks who sponsor the home show and the home improvement and outdoor living show. And Larry, recently it was a 50th anniversary celebration out here like none other. It was just fabulous. Take me back to those days. What was it like when you started the association?
Well, I'm honored to be the only living charter member. The rest of them are gone, but I remember Jimmy Tompkins and Tim Holt and myself at Conway Motor Inn in Conway planning about a home builders association. And so we did, and of course in came George Bishop, because he and I were friends, and I believe it was Bobby Martin was head of the Waccamaw at that time, and we didn't have an executive officer, so Dot Bishop came and was our EO, free gratis, for a good while till we got membership built adequate enough to support somebody else getting involved.
Tell me about your business as a home builder, because you started in chickens, but you had the most incredible construction company, and at one time you were building a new house every single day.
Yes, ma'am. Well, every working day, yes. I built larger houses in the beginning, and but first house was for a good friend of mine, and I figured what the materials should cost and told them what the house should be built for, and all the bids came back way, way, way too high. So they talked me into building it, and I did, and that turned out real well. So that's when I started. And then I thought, well, if there's that kind of profit, we shouldn't be charging that much profit, but building more houses. And so it wasn't long before I had 66 houses under construction a year later at the same time.
Amazing.
And I was moving a new home, a family in a new brick home every working day, 5 a week.
Tell me about bridge. I heard that Larry Paul could play bridge against anyone, even a world champion, and possibly win. They said you were great at it. You were just amazing.
Not really. There's several good bridge players around. In fact, we have a Larry Paul Bridge Club here. We have a lot of bridge players in. But when you think you're the best, you'll go to a match one day that a man will make you feel like a monkey. I've got it's 300 points to be a grand master, to be a life master, and I had like close 7 times that many when I quit. And I played a few years, but you think that's a lot, and it is a lot, but there's so many people got so many more.
Tell me about the L.W. Paul Living History Farm. It's such a jewel here in our community.
Well, thank you. Somebody came to me with that idea, and I liked the idea, and so we built the farm, and I built it like it was the same farm where I was born. The same house that I was born in. It was called the Eller Place when we lived there, and then we moved to the other place. But I used the same outhouse, the same tobacco barn, the same kind of pack house, all the same, like the farm was that I lived on for a long time. And then at the front of the living farm, you'll see a little buildings like would have been a crossroads town way out in the country at that length at that time ago, which would have been the general store and the old primitive Baptist church and the syrup house where you cook the syrup and make the syrup, and the woodworking shop and the blacksmith shop, and those things are on the front.
To always remind people of the farms of yesteryear.
That's correct. It's a learning experience, and we have buses from all over the state and some other states coming to see.
Larry, you've done so many wonderful things in our community, incredibly benevolent.
Well, thank you.
I know that you also have a real fondness in your heart for Sandy Island. What does that mean to you?
Sandy Island is wonderful, wonderful. Sandy Island is the largest freshwater island on the east coast of America. It's 12,500 acres surrounded entirely by freshwater. And I happen to have, I had a house on the north end of it, and I gave it to the Nature Conservancy, and I now have a house on the south end with some little guest houses.
Well, Larry, since you have so many great connections at Sandy Island, I'd love for you to take us and the cameras down there sometime and give us a little tour of the island. That would be great for all of our viewers who have never seen it.
I'll show you. Be glad to.
Gonna count on it. In wrapping up, what are you most proud of as you look back on your incredible life?
Well, I'm the proudest, of course, of my family. Tiffany is my daughter, and she's the absolute apple of my eye. I have 3 children, and they've all done well. But when we still see Tiffany, and Eddie's in Florida now, and he's doing real well, and I think little Larry's in Atlanta, but everybody's doing well.
And I know your kids, and you should be proud.
Well, thank you.
Larry, thank you so much for this great interview, and I'm going to go over and collect some eggs.
Let me tell you, my grandchildren, don't forget my grandchildren.
Oh,
they're
how
wonderful.
many?
I got a granddaughter getting married next month, Jessica, and of course Andy's Eddie's son, and he's just recently married, so we need to let's get that in.
And you should be proud. Thank you, Larry. All right, friends, we'll be back. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Shorty's Grill is a Loris institution, and it's coming up right after this.
Hi, I'm Luke Rankin. Horry County is my home. I was born and raised here, and for nearly 31 years, I've been helping people. I'm an attorney. When folks need help after an accident, if they've been injured on the job or denied Social Security benefits, they call me. No screaming, no crashing cars here, just a serious offer to help. If you need legal advice or assistance, go with experience. Give me a call. Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust.
Last month, our HTC Inside Out camera and me and the director headed to the Horry County Fair. And you know what, friends? Everything was just ducky.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Clark Parker with Myrtle Beach CPAs, proudly serving the area for over 40 years.
We're in Loris today on Lake Megan, and we're going to be featuring Shorty's Grill. It's an institution in Loris, and so are Shorty and Betty, who you'll meet in just a bit. Shorty, honey, you have been working at Shorty's before it was even Shorty's.
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me that story. How'd you get to working there?
Well, look, I started working at the school, and I started racking balls to start with. I done that for a couple of years. Then I went to washing dishes for a couple of years. Then I went to the grill and cooked for 30 years, I reckon.
So you actually started in the pool hall, which you still have.
Right.
And then you wash dishes.
Yeah.
And I heard that because you're only 5'2", eyes are blue, that they put you like on a crate so you could actually cook at the grill.
No, I was washing dishes on a crate.
Oh, you were washing dishes on
Yeah.
a crate. Did you have to stand on a crate to cook too?
No, not really, no, not then. I didn't. I growed up a little bit.
And the former owners were the ones who gave you the name Shorty?
Yes, ma'am.
Because your real name's
David.
Uh-huh, but everybody knows you as Shorty. So tell me about the previous establishment before you and Betty took over.
I just worked for the other people, the Larleys. Their last name was Larley. I worked for them probably 6 or 7 years, and she wanted to get out of it and retire, and she offered it to me and financed it for me, and I just took it over.
And what was the name of the place before it became Shorty's?
Lois Lunch and Pool Room.
And you and Betty are now in your 40th year with this.
Yes, ma'am.
Betty has a graduate degree from college, and she told you she'd never wanted to do this. How'd you convince her to stay all those years?
I reckon she loved me that much.
Oh, I think she did. I think that's the case. She loves you very much to have hung in there. What has been your hottest selling item at Shorty's?
Cheeseburgers and hot dogs.
So even though you've got wonderful breakfast, you have wonderful dinner in the evening,
Yes, ma'am.
hamburgers and hot dogs has been the mainstay.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think's your secret? Because you really have great burgers.
I think it's because we make everything homemade from scratch. We make our own hamburger, make our own chili, make our own slaw, cut our own onions, cut our own french fries. We do it all by hand. And people come all over the place. There's Little River, Conway, Georgetown.
Shorty, did you ever think about what you would have done if you didn't do this? I mean, you've done this your whole life since you were 11 years old.
I don't know the answer. I don't know what I've done.
Was there anything you ever wanted to grow up to be? I mean, you didn't really think about being
No.
a restaurateur. This was just great luck.
That's just where I started. That's why I always wanted to do that, I guess.
How's it been working with your spouse the whole time? Now be careful, Betty's sitting right over here.
That was a what?
So you gotta be careful.
What
but
did
I
you
guess- What did you say? Yeah, I want to know, what was it like working with your spouse morning, noon, and night next to each other at the grill?
I don't know. We've had a good time and a good life.
She's cracking up. She's ready to jump right in Megan Lake here. I think that, yeah, she says it's been a roller coaster, but it is.
That's smooth roller coaster day.
Yeah, a smooth roller coaster. That's a great way to look at it. And so now you're slowing down just a bit, and Nick, your wonderful son, is
Yeah.
running the joint.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I know y'all go in there on a regular basis because you can't stay away, but you've got some plans for the future, maybe.
Well, I'm proud of him. He's been there, how long, Betty?
15 so years?
I mean, he's been running it for us for a while. We just been, still up there, but he was running it for us. He's done a good job. I'm proud of him.
And generation after generation's taken over because Gage and Landon are there. Tell me about Gage.
He helped us just some during the week when it's in the summertime. And he told his daddy one day that he was going to work for him.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, because the first day we went in there to eat, Gage waited on us and he was so adorable. I flirted with him and he was just precious. And when I told him I wanted to interview his grandparents, he was so excited he wrote down your phone number right away. And then Landon's still young, but you think he'll want to play a big part in Shorty's down the road?
He might. Ain't no telling what he'll do.
You just have to hope that it continues generation
Yeah.
after generation.
We are too good. I think we got 2 good grandyoungsters, but you don't never know what they're gonna do.
Before I talk to Betty, I want you to just tell me what the people of Loris have meant to you.
They meant a lot to me.
They're your family.
Yeah, I love people too.
You love them and they love you.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I was talking to a bunch of people from Loris, and oh my gosh, they were cheering when they heard I was coming to interview Shorties, because you are such an institution.
Well, thank you.
And so, what do you think Betty's going to tell me about you that you haven't told me?
I don't know.
Well, we're getting ready to find out. Stay with me. We're going right around the corner here to meet up with Betty.
I am very proud of David, and of course he is Shorty, as everybody knows him, but I have never called him Shorty ever. But he grew up in a large family of he was the 13th child, and he had to go to work early, as years ago we all did, but he made his way up to the Lyerleys and just planted his feet there. I mean, he never left.
They were like guardian angels to him,
Yeah,
really.
He loved them too. He loved all of that family.
And
very
he
much.
grew up here in Loris, and you have too. As a matter of fact, this home that we're at is yours and Shorty's, and this is your family farm.
Yes, it is. And my dad lived here as a young child, and then he and my mother lived next door in their married years, and I did too. And then my brother's on one side and I'm on this side. So we live here all together.
So you went to college, have a great graduate degree, but you never got to use it. And we were talking about that with Shorty. And you fought the opportunity to work at the grill. You really did not want to do it.
No, I did not. I went to work at Calabash when I was 14 and worked and made my own money, had my own car, and I just didn't want to do that the rest of my life. And then he called me one day when I was coming home from Coastal, or at Coastal, or home probably then, because we didn't have cell phones, but said he was going to take the grill rent. I was like, oh no, no, I'm not doing it. But I ended up, I've been there all my life. I never used any of my education ever. But it's all right. We used it a lot there, I guess.
I guess you really did, though, because you've kept Shorty straight over the years, so you learned something.
Old age has done that. His biological clock is set in.
So over the years, having a great staff has been important, because when you all did want to take an hour or two off, you needed to have people you could rely on.
Yeah, we did. We've had a lot of good people work for us. A young man told me the other day he worked for us, and I didn't remember it, but I said, well, I guess everybody in Loris has worked here at one time or other. And Nicholas and Jennifer came on the scene, and she and him together, they just kind of took over, and they've done all right with it. You know, we don't have to be there all the time anymore.
Jennifer is mom to the boys, Gage and Landon, right?
That's right.
So now you've got this next generation working, and I know you hope that it's going to continue for another 100 years.
I hope so, but I do want them to do something with their life too, though. But I don't know. I guess fate will have its way of working that out, whatever. So we're kind of pushing for Gage to go somewhere to school to do something different. Nicholas never went to college, and I think he just kind of held on to that to do that. And I think he should have more dreams than that too. But it'll be nice if they all settle there. It'll be okay.
Finally, Betty, what's been the best part of Shorty's? The very best?
The people. Yep, the people. It's been now in later years and this new age, people aren't quite as compassionate as they used to be, I don't think. But then again, I'm not there all the time either. I think that after our daughter died, that the people there listened to me cry, sat down with me, they helped me get over it. And a lot of people don't have that opportunity to get better from such a tragedy. You know, I think the people have been such a great asset to Shorty and I both.
You grew through it all.
Yeah.
I just thank you and Shorty for sharing with me. And,
We've enjoyed having you.
And as soon as we get done, we're going to have lunch.
At Shorty's.
You better believe it. Shorty's Grill. Y'all come to Loris and give Shorty and Betty a hug. And if they're not there, hug Nick and Jennifer.
That's right.
Gage and Landon, the next generation of Shorty's Grill. Yay! The Diabetes Wellness Council is next on Inside Out.
Honey, I think I'll adjust the thermostat. It's getting a little cool.
Mom, you don't have to get up to do that. I've installed the HTC Connected Home app on your phone. See, you can adjust the temperature from anywhere. Okay, Mom, I've got to go. Thanks for house sitting. Make sure to lock the door and set the alarm.
No problem. I have everything I need right here.
Secure what matters most with HTC Connected Home.
HTC, this is life. Connect with it.
Today we're at the Carolina Forest Library. I want you to meet Christy Falk. She heads up the Diabetes Wellness Council for our area. She knows this disease well because she's had diabetes for 36 years. She's also written a book called Sweet Surrender about how to be your own health advocate. And that's our topic for today. And so, Christy, tell me a little bit about when you were a kid. Obviously, you were young getting diabetes.
Yes.
How did that change your life?
Honestly, it became an everyday, it became a job. You know, back then we didn't have test strips or glucometers, so I didn't really know what my blood sugar was at any given time. I had to guess, and I did what my doctor told me. So I had a few dietary changes, but just trying to take care of myself was the biggest challenge.
And so today, for parents with children who have diabetes, it's a much easier thing with all the apparatus that there's available.
Yes. I actually have a continuous glucose monitor now. It is actually under my skin, so it measures me every 15 minutes.
And what happens if the number goes up? Do you get a buzz, or what happens?
I have all the numbers go to a receiver, and if I'm going too low, it starts screaming at me. And if I'm going too high, it lets me know that as well, so I can correct it before it becomes a problem.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what does your council do? You set this up so that you could help other people because you've been there.
Yes.
And your office is here in Carolina Forest on Postal Way.
It is.
Tell me what you do.
We do a lot of diabetes management. We do workshops. I do personal coaching. I'm also a prevention lifestyle coach. I'm a ketogenic lifestyle coach, certified in that, and all-around diabetes educator. We also have support groups. We have another diabetes educator on board who deals with the behavioral and mental side of diabetes because that goes hand in hand with the physical.
Would you say that the mental aspect is one of the biggest challenges of this illness?
It definitely is. Especially with some of the older generation, you know, it's hard to accept that changes need to be made. But once they accept that and realize that it's better for them to acknowledge and manage it, they're much healthier and happier overall. And it's amazing to see that light bulb turn on when they get it.
I'm sure you'd agree, though, with diabetes or with any illness today, being your own health advocate, which is what you've written about in this book, is important. But sometimes there's too much information online that can really scare the fool out of you.
Yes, I agree. I encourage people to do their research, ask questions, and also to kind of listen to your own body. You know, if you eat something new, take note of it, see how you feel after it, and write it down. You know, I know there's certain foods that I can't eat because it affects me negatively. And so I'm aware of those changes. And if people actually paid attention rather than just mindlessly eating, it would make a huge difference.
So I guess one of the most difficult parts of being a diabetic is that you have to cook differently for your family. I mean, is your husband eating like this?
Somewhat. I still have to make him, a pound of pasta for dinner. I cut out the pasta or I have an alternative. But for the most part, that's the only change.
Kind of beware of carbs.
Yes.
Now, your book isn't just about diabetes. It's about taking control of any health issue that you have. I guess, our generation is a little bit better about researching and kind of handling our own health issues. But we all know that our parents' generation took the word of the doctors as the word of God, and nobody questioned it.
Right. Yeah, I learned from my mother to research and ask questions. I mean, that's something she taught me early on.
So over at your office, you offer seminars, you offer advice. Do people come in one-on-one?
Yes, or group settings. We do have the support group meetings twice a month, and we have a great group of people. They're very engaged. They're very open and honest with each other. They ask each other questions, give each other advice. It's a wonderful group.
And when do you meet, Christy?
It's the first and the second Tuesday of every month at 6:00.
And your office address is?
4006 Postal Way. We're in Unit A.
Tell me your best diabetes recipe, because I was flipping through this book. There's several recipes, including chicken parm, cauliflower soup, but the chocolate milkshake didn't sound like there was anything unusual about that. Sounds like anyone would like that one.
Yes, it's so easy. I mean, the almond milk, heavy cream, cocoa powder, and I use stevia in mine. Sometimes I'll put a little drop of vanilla in it, just to jazz it up a little bit.
And I would think that heavy cream might bother a diabetic. Why does that not matter?
Heavy cream has very low carbs, if any. So when you reduce the fat in a food, you're increasing the sugar or the chemicals, because you got to have flavor from somewhere. So the higher the fat, the less you're going to eat, and the less carbs and sugar. So I'm all about the high fat diet.
You don't look like you're all about the high fat.
You don't get fat by eating fat.
That's the kind of advice that you dish out at your Diabetes Wellness Council meetings.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, Christy, you have cooking classes.
Yes, I do ketogenic cooking classes in the office once a month, and it's a lot of fun. I have a limit of 10 people because that's all I can fit in my kitchen, but we do have so much fun, and they get to taste everything, take food home, and learn how to do it hands-on.
That's wonderful, because there's really not anybody in town doing this sort of thing.
I know.
So are you connected with the doctors? Are they able to send you some of their patients when diagnosed with diabetes?
Yes, I do get referrals. Not as many as I should, but that's okay. If I can reach one person, that's a benefit.
And where can people get your book, Sweet Surrender?
It is on Amazon. It's available in the paperback form or the Kindle form.
And they can also stop by your office, I would guess, and pick up a copy.
Absolutely.
This is Christy Falk, Diabetes Wellness Council. We're glad she's here doing great work in our community. If you know of somebody with diabetes, just tell them to give Christy a call. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Up next on Inside Out, 100-year-old World War II vet Jim Kendrick.
Hi, I'm Wanda Howard, and I've known Clark Parker for a long time. Clark has been my CPA for the original Benjamin since 2006. He has proven himself to be knowledgeable, dependable, and available. I consider him to be an integral part of my business success. I even trust Clark for my personal estate planning. Small problems or large, Clark can help you navigate through them successfully.
Clark Parker and Myrtle Beach CPAs, proudly serving the area for over 40 years.
It's a centennial celebration for Lieutenant Colonel Jim Kendrick, turning 100 this month. How exciting, Jim. And you've had a great life, haven't you?
Great life.
You just told me that you can't even believe that you served in World War II. When you think about it, you can't even believe it.
Right, I do that. I'm still amazed that I'm put upon the World War II veterans. I don't know how it happened, but it did happen.
Tell me about your work in World War II. I have a picture of the first plane you ever flew.
Well, I started out as a flying cadet at Love Field, Dallas, Texas. Then went over to Fort Worth, to Hicks Field. Then went to Randolph Field at San Antonio for basic training. When I finished basic training, I went back over to Kelly Field to finish my advanced training and graduated as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. I had already completed a ROTC camp at the Citadel, and I had a commission in the Coast Artillery, but they still made me go through flying school as a flying cadet, where I made $75 a month and had $6 taken out for laundry. Had more money than I knew what to do with.
That is saying something, isn't
Right.
it? $75 a month. You told me, though, that this looks like a toy plane, considering that Jim wanted to fly the big ones.
Well, this is what you start with. And so it happened to be the only airplane they had at Love Field for us to train on. And a fellow named Bill Long owned the air school there at Love Field, but he started another school over at Fort Worth at Hicks Field, and there were 14 of us from Love were sent over there because they were going to get some modern planes.
What was the biggest plane you wound up flying in the end?
Biggest plane I wound up flying was a Constellation. That was, but actually it's a C-54 is a transport plane.
Was there anything?
No, the B-17. I got checked out in that, so that was the biggest warplane I flew. But we never thought we were going to war.
Speaking of war, this is really an incredible photo. Tell me about it, Jim.
But this is the one that the delegation, when the war, Japs surrendered, that their delegation was to come to this little island of Ashima, right off of Okinawa, where the 77th Army Division had been cleared up and got a airfield there that the Americans were flying from, to bring a delegation down there to go down to Manila and talk to MacArthur's people about how we to come in the thing. The crew came in, we looked after the crew in Ashima, and then they came back during the middle of the night, and we got them ready, and they took off and went back. And the next day, I got a set of orders telling me there was an airplane coming in picking up me, and a sergeant and an interpreter, and we were to go up to Yokohama, and we were to go around Tokyo to an airfield that Americans were going to plan on using, see if everything. That was quite an experience, because we were told not to go into Tokyo, but to go around it. We got lost 2 or 3 times, but the Japs, by gosh, they treated me nice. I didn't, because they could have killed us right on the thing, and we wouldn't. And one of the things that really impressed me later on, that before the surrender was signed, General MacArthur himself came back to Tokyo, landed at Yokohama there, and had no guns on any of the airplanes at all. And he was just going to see the emperor, but he was just making them prove that that you were going to do what you said you were going to do. And they went downtown to the Daiichi building. That was a building in Tokyo that was not destroyed. And the Americans were taking that over to be their own thing. And I remember having a lunch in the dining room downstairs that day, and they gave me the bill, and we just said, Uncle Sam will take care of it.
Amen, brother, amen. You know, I could talk about your service career forever because it's an illustrious one, even though Jim doesn't claim that it is. He's so humble. But I want to talk about your days here in Myrtle Beach, because you're very active with the First United Methodist Church. You're a Rotarian. You were Rotarian of the Year. What has Rotary meant to you?
Rotary's been meet a lot of nice people, and when I was treasurer for a while, so I always get to know a lot of people when the bills get behind and so forth. But the Rotary is a great organization. A lot of people don't know exactly what they do, but they're
a lot of community service.
That's right, a lot of community service.
But you've been involved in that, and you've helped the community in many, many ways.
But right now, I feel like I think I'm losing it now. But I'm trying not to. I write everything down. Everybody tells me, or I'll forget it. Even what day of the week is, I have to ask somebody sometime.
You know what? Sometimes I do too, and I write everything down as well. So you're living here at Brightwater, and it's just a beautiful place. And what does this mean to you, to be taken care of so well at 100?
Well, I wouldn't be over here if it wasn't for my daughter. We still have our house over there in town, and that is my legal residence, that house.
So you live a little here and you live a little there?
I live over there. I'm over the house about every day.
Now, I happen to know that you love sports and that you never miss a Citadel ball game. You never miss a Seahawks game, and you're a pretty avid Chanticleer fan as well.
Well, I enjoy sports. I really do. And I'd go all the time if I was able, but as much as somebody comes and picks me up and almost helps me to my seat.
Well, you can't do everything, right?
No.
But I'm wondering, is there going to be any big birthday parties? There's got to be some birthday parties for a 100-year-old sharp as a tack man.
Just a little note, this is his 100th birthday.
Just a little note, a 100th birthday. Lieutenant Colonel Jim Kendrick, everyone who knows you loves you. You wouldn't believe all the wonderful comments when I told people I was coming to interview you. I wish I had 7 hours or even 7 days to interview you. Your story is amazing. But is there anything left you really want to do?
Not really. My grandson's out in Portland, Oregon, as I say, he's doing real good. And got the 4 great-grandchildren. They don't even know who I am, because I see them very rarely. I see them a lot with pictures they send me. Keep me up with pictures.
Well, we got to set you up with a little computer so you can FaceTime with them on your 100th birthday. I'm going to count on the Rotarians to do that for you.
No.
This is my friend and a wonderful man, Lieutenant Colonel Jim Kendrick. Thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll come pop out of your cake. Or maybe I'm too old for that. What do you think?
But they did something for me when I came my 90th birthday to Rotary. They somebody buried figures in them, got a cake made and everything. That was nice. Yeah.
Barry's probably working on a 100th cake as well.
No.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for this.
But you do a good show. I keep looking at your show all the time.
I'm glad I got a fan. Thank you, Jim.
Good.
Thank you.
It's a day of hope coming up in August for Horry County kids in need. That's what's up next on Inside Out.
You wear many hats, and HTC knows what you need to keep the day running smoothly. You're an entertainment coordinator, appointment maker, and business superhero. You're a personal chef, chauffeur extraordinaire, and a trusted protector. No matter where life takes you, HTC keeps you connected by bringing world-class technology right here to Horry and Georgetown counties, because you are here, and so are we. HTC, this is life. Connect with it.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust.
Friends, coming up in August, there's a day of hope. And my new friend Sheila needs lots of volunteers to make this special. But you can't just show up. There's some training involved. I want you to meet Sheila Karsavar. And Sheila kind of got this inspiration in a very special way to start a Day of Hope. Tell us the story, Sheila.
Yes, it's a great story. In 2014, I had just started praying how God wanted to use me in this area and what He wanted to do with me and what was my purpose. My husband and I have done a home-based business for many, many years, and so our time is our own. And God just impressed on me, you need to start this for the children in need that are in Horry County. And it came from, I was watching a message on TV where the woman was going into inner cities and helping kids, and I could not stop crying. I didn't really understand why I was so emotional, and that's how all this happened. And so He impressed on me to do this. And the message of the day is that God has a plan for their lives, and He loves them, and they were created for a purpose. And along with that, they get their school supplies and their haircuts and new shoes, and we pray with them, and they get vision screening and dental screening. There's a lot that they get.
You've been doing this now. This is coming up on your 5th year.
Yes.
So you tell me that each and every year, more and more volunteers come forward, and that the volunteers need to be trained.
Yes.
And what kind of training do they actually get in order to help you?
There's quite a bit, actually, and we have an all-over volunteer training. Everyone gets together, and I just go through the day, and there's a lot of privacy that's involved, that needs to be involved and kept, because these families are in need, these children are in need, and so they need to understand that. And so we go through the training, the day. If they're going to do the foot washing and the shoe part, then they are trained on how to do that and what is needed for that. And of course, we don't force the kids to have their feet washed if they don't want to, but most of them are asking for it. And so it's incredible to see what happens.
Is that like a religious experience?
Yes, in the Bible, it talks about how Jesus washed the disciples' feet, and in order to serve others, in order to be served, you need to serve others, and so it's just a blessing for all involved. It's been incredible.
How do you get the kids to come? Now, I know this is a date in August, and please tell everyone why we're not mentioning the date.
The date changes every year because it's always a Saturday in August. It always is in August. It's just that people can't just show up and decide that they want to help. They need to be trained, and also the children are pre-registered, and the families go. Catholic Charities actually is the one that is doing my pre-registration and always has, and so the families go and they're registered, so we have the shoe sizes and we know exactly who's coming. And so these supplies, we give backpacks, and they're filled with school supplies, and these supplies, this is actually then reserved for the children. And so if for some reason they can't make it to that day, say they're sick or their ride doesn't come through, then they can go to Catholic Charities and pick up their supplies afterwards, and so they don't miss out.
They also get this other bag, and I saw all the goodies in it, Sheila.
This is a bag, and Arizona Iced Tea supplies our canvas bags every year, which is incredible. But these are supplies that are not covered by food stamps. This has been a learning experience for all involved, really. And so these are paper towels and toothpaste, toothbrushes, and toilet paper, and deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, dish soap, all these things, because even if someone does not have a home, they still need these things.
And then there's medical checks that happen. You tell me vision, dental,
there's
all those
vision
services.
and dental, yes. So there's the Lions Club does our vision screening, and so we know if anyone needs glasses or if they have something going on with their eyes, they can even do small children, kindergartners and things like that. So they do that, and then the dental screening is Little River Medical Center comes with their mobile unit, their dental unit, and there's so many services involved. Salvation Army provides lunch, and we have so many volunteers. We need hairstylists. We're always in need of hairstylists, and we are always in need of monetary donations, because this is all, we are a 501c under my home church, which is Christ United, and they've been real supportive with that, but there are so many churches involved that just really bring this day alive and make it happen. And so it is truly the community coming together in unity to serve on our kids.
So I know the more the merrier. You need more volunteers. And at this point, if our volunteers were to call you, then what happens?
Then I would just talk to them about where they would like to serve and how they would like to get involved. And we would talk about that, have a little talk, and then they would be put on my email with all of the
For the
instructions
training.
and ready for the training. Yeah.
Now, this event takes place at the Claire Chapin Epps YMCA,
Yes.
and I would think that their donation of the location is also wonderful. But you're right, you do need some sponsorships.
Yes, we definitely need sponsorships. I'm also looking for places to speak, whether it's to groups or businesses, offices, just to get the awareness out, because we have quite a need in our community of children in need, and we don't have to get on a plane and fly thousands of miles in order to help. We can go right around the corner.
And finally, Sheila, was that surprising to you, having moved here a couple of years ago from another community? Were you surprised? We appear to be a wealthy community, but we're not.
Yes, we are not at all, and it is shocking, and it was very surprising. This has been a huge learning experience for me this whole entire time, but God has provided every single step of the way. If there was a question, and needed an answer, then someone would ask the question, we would solve the problem, and it was like it just kept happening that way. But yes, it is very shocking to have children in so much need around the corner. They need hope.
If you have some time on your hands over the summer months and can help Sheila with this big event coming up in August, year number 5, A Day of Hope, Sheila would love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Sheila, thank you, and God bless you for following what God wanted you to do. So I held on to the mayor of Georgetown and I said, Brendon, you cannot leave me yet, because I heard from a little birdie, Mayor Bethune,
oh no,
that you could imitate Louis Armstrong, and so we're not letting you go until I hear it.
All right, let's try it. Okay. I see trees of green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to call American Idol and The Voice and get you signed up. Mayor Brendon Barber from Georgetown. We'll see you next month with another edition of Inside Out.
Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is Life. Connect with it. And sponsored in part by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust. And by Clark Parker with Myrtle Beach CPAs, proudly serving the area for over 40 years.